You know, one of the things that I find, I don't know how to phrase this, but it, it just seems like people who are single and who have never been married have a lot of fantasies connected with it. You know, they just think it's going to be all this big romance and glorification like they see in the fairy stories, and it is so not like that at all. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about in a discussion that we had on Facebook recently was the issue of when you get married, should the woman be obligated to change her name to her new husband's? I'm of the mind that she should not. That, I mean, if she wants to, yeah, but there should never be a demand that she do it. Unfortunately, in the thread that I was a part of, the guys were adamant. It's like, well, then you don't need a ring and you don't need a wedding and you don't need anything, and we're just the state boyfriend and girlfriend just because she didn't want to take his last name. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I also thought it was stupid. Now, the whole thing about marriage is, you joining your life with somebody. There's people who are more married, like Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. They're more married than most married couples, although they have never taken a vow and they don't have any kind of marriage certificate, and she still has her name, he still has his. But those two people have been together, bonded to each other for decades. And when you see a situation like that, it makes these demands, especially that black men have, that somebody take their name, it makes it laughable. You guys are clueless about what is required to make a marriage work. And you think that her taking your name is meaningful. Look at the divorce rate in this country, especially in the black community. In the country at large, it's about 50%. Amongst the black folks, it's about 75%. So what in the world would she take your name for when the likelihood is, 35% of the time you going to be on somewhere else, and she going to have to go through all that work to change her name back to what it was. Now, with that aside, I think that demanding that a woman change her name is a reflection of our historical patterns where women were considered property. Women couldn't vote. Women couldn't own property. Their inheritance went to their husbands. Women had no rights in court. Like if they got a divorce, the husband automatically took the children. It was a very sad state of affairs for females. So with that ownership kind of mentality, of course women would take their husband's name because she no longer was part of her own family. She became a part of his. Well, now we have options, and women have pride in their family histories just like guys do. And there are many different options for couples to have. I mean, they can do, because I've seen this. The woman can do a hyphenated name. Her husband's name is Jones, hers is Smith. So she could be Samantha Smith hyphen Jones, right? I've also seen it where the parents they wanted their children to all have the same name and everyone to have the same name. So the husband also adopted the hyphenated name, and the children had the hyphenated name. I don't know if I would go that far, but it does reflect some of the issues that we're talking about in our society today. I've also seen where women use their maiden name professionally, especially if it's branded for some kind of business, as an author, things of that nature. They continue to use their maiden name professionally, but in social circles, they use their husband's last name and their Mr. and Mrs. whatever. To me, that would be somewhat confusing. I'd rather just be, just one thing, but whatever works for folks, I'm not here to judge. But what I do find is that the demand that a woman change her name to his is it's kind of interesting. Some of the women feel like, in this thread, felt like it was mandatory. What's the point of getting married if you don't want to take his name? And I just feel like it should be an option. It's something that you two have to decide what's going to work for you in your family, in your life. There's nothing that is written in stone. But some of the guys really did feel strongly about it, and they feel like that concept of two becoming one, and all that means that she has to give up her name. But see, I'm like, why? I mean, I understand that's a carryover from ancient times, but why would she have to go into the marriage already sacrificing who and what she is? I mean, do people really think about these things, or do they just automatically go along with the program? I don't think people really think about what that means. This woman is agreeing to be your wife, okay? But the first thing she has to do is give up something that she's been her entire life to be with you. What kind of bullshit is that? I mean, really, think about that. She's been this one thing her whole life, but and she identifies with that. That's who people know her as. That's her identity. And you're asking her to immediately give that up just because you proposed to her? I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that's right, and I don't think that a woman should be obligated to do it. If she wants to, but I mean, even then, ladies, you need to think about that. Why do you want to? Is it because you really want to, or because you've been raised to think that that's what you're supposed to do? I just really have an issue with it. I don't think that is necessary at all. Personally, I was born with this name. I'm going to die with this name. It's, who I have branded myself as. It's reflective of my family history, my lineage. It ties me to generations of people through my blood. And I just can't see, and there's a lot of pride in being a Cooper. I just don't see any reason for me to give that up under any circumstances for any man. I'm just not going to do it. I was born a Cooper, I'm going to die a Cooper, and everything in between is still going to be Cooper, and that's just the way it is. So there's a lot of different opinions about this. I just wanted to share mine. It's something to think about, as you head that into that thing. I mean, this channel is full of single women and single men, well, singles, period, single people. That means that either you've been married and divorced, or you've never been married. So you have in your mind ideas about how you want the marriage that you enter into in the future to be. And some of the things I've been giving you guys to think about, of course, are along those lines, but to get you to really think about what you're getting into and what you're signing on for before you do it. That makes the most sense to me, and I think it would alleviate many of the divorces that we have if people gave it more thought before they signed on the dotted line. So that's what I do here. And this is, even though this may seem like a rather innocuous point, as some kind of issue that really is not important, as in reality it's very important, and it's apparently important to a lot of men. So it's something that you ladies need to think about. You could talk about that even in early dating. If you feel very strongly about it like I do, then there's something that is this like, do you feel so strongly about it that it could be a parting point, something that would make you not want to marry the man because he insisted that you give up who and what you are to be something that he thinks you should be and tied to him. That's something that you really need to think about, and this is something that should be agreed upon and solidified before you agree to take his engagement ring and become his wife. This is a very important issue that involves who you perceive yourself to be. And yeah, you can be a guy's wife and still have your family name. There's nothing wrong with that. But if he doesn't feel the same way, that's going to be a major sticking point, and it could very well cause a lot of resentment and anger in him, because he's always had this fantasy that his wife would have his name and you all would be Mr. and Mrs. whatever. And you thinking, oh hell no, I'm not I don't want to do that. I'll be Mrs. with my same name that I already got. And if he's not on that same page, then you guys gonna have a problem. And you also have to think about, what are you going to do about any children that you may have? What last name are they going to use, and how are you going to handle that on school records and birth certificates and things of that nature? So these are things that you really need to think about. Don't ignore the importance of these kind of really basic conversations that make you guys, be on the same page as you move forward in your relationship. These kinds of issues they can basically blow up in your face and cause some real problems down the line when he's feeling like you didn't really want to be tied to him the way he wanted you to, and you looking at him like, you crazy. I already told you I wasn't changing my name, so why is this a problem, 2, 5, 12 years later? So you guys get on that page, have the hard discussions. Let him know what you really think and what you really feel. Guys, I encourage you to do the same. Before you get married, there's no time to be coy. Put all the cards on the table, let everybody know where you stand, and then move forward. Got some more videos coming up for you. This was just one I just threw together. I'm still working on some that require a lot more work, and I, I just haven't gotten around to it. But this is one I think that, as we approach the summertime, people are going to be getting married. There's June weddings and everything coming up. Y'all better have these hard discussions. I'll give you some more topics to talk about as we move along. Talk to you soon. Deb Cooper from survivingdating.com, signing out.